We are Steve and Jill. Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. I'm Stephen Jack Butella.
and I'm Jill DeWitt, and this is the Land Academy Show.
This is episode number 1935, and today we are taking an in-depth look at a couple of topics called what top land investors are doing differently for 2023 and how to troll for new land acquisition markets like a pro. It all starts with trolling.
Well, before that, I would like to point out a couple things. Number one, this is our new format. I want to let everybody know this is it. Glad you're here. Get your coffee, get your tea, get your Coke, settle in. This is going to go probably, I don't know, anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour or so. We'll see where this takes us. So our new format is instead of the weekly short shows where you a lot of you have said, oh, wait, I really wanted to hear the whole, deep dive about it. It was just kind of a snippet. We're going to give you those deep dives because you guys have really asked for that. And so we're excited to do that. The other thing I want to point out is when we say show number 1935, we really do mean 1935, starting with episode 0, basically. Because I'm sure there were -0 because there's probably a few that we started with years ago and since replaced, probably pulled down and replaced because I don't know how great they were. But we've been doing this for a while. So I'm really looking forward to this. So what's going on with you?
I'm just ready to, I'm embracing this new format. It's going to give us a chance to really take an in-depth look at some of these topics versus, kind of just skipping along the top.
Yeah. I want this to be like, you get to imagine you're in the room with us right now. And as we're just discussing things like we always do, just now with cameras on and mics on, we're going to have these longer conversations. We're going to have our partners meetings right here with you.
Oh gosh, please spare them. Spare the listener.
I'll remove the arguing. I'll remove the or you know what? Actually, we might leave that in. Maybe all that's a stupid idea. Then we'll leave those in. Because we don't always agree.
So like Jill says, new for 2023, this is our weekly show now. We'll take a couple of member questions from our Land Academy Discord forum like we always have. We'll review some of our favorite land acquisitions from our Thursday member webinar and ultimately take a deep dive look into 2 land-related topics that are requested on the Discord channel. If you're a member, go on Discord. There's a place called Content Topic Suggestions. Please, if you want us to talk about anything or ask a question,
put it in there.
Yep. We'll happily cover it.
That's awesome.
All right, let's take a question posted by one of our members on the Land Academy Discord online community. If you want a sneak peek at our Discord channel, please go to landinvestors.com. It's embedded there, read only, and it's free.
It's pretty cool. All right, so Sid wrote, I need some advice on how to structure land purchases. To date, I've only purchased one piece of property at a time and sold it in the name of my Texas LLC. Since joining Land Academy, I've ramped up and I will have 3 in escrow or purchased in the next 30 days. I know there's not a lot of liability in land, but I'm looking at putting each in a land trust that has my LLC as a beneficiary. To set up the trust, I would have named a trustee who resigns immediately, so no link to the beneficiary. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. Just trying to protect my assets. Is this too complicated or an easy way to do this? Thanks for the help. Okay, it's already sounding, by the time he gets his set up, Sid, I would have had it sold. So I have, number one, I see that problem right there. Seriously,
a land trust, the benefit to a land trust. Land trusts are brilliant, by the way. They originated in the early 1900s, maybe the late 1800s in Illinois for the sole purpose of creating a document, the trust itself, so you can't easily trace back ownership. And it was specifically done because people were getting sued. The first thing that lawyers would do was try to locate all the land that somebody owns. and then decide whether or not if they have,
The dough. To be sued.
So land trusts make it very difficult to do this, because when you look up property records, it could be XYZ trust, and there's no real way, unlike corporate commission.
You've got to get your hands on the documents to see who are the people in the trust.
And if the documents are locked away in a safe somewhere, then you're ultimately not going to find out. It's not impossible, but it makes it very difficult. So that's the real benefit of a land trust. Sid's asking us if he's making it too complicated here, and yes, you are making it too complicated. I think that a Texas LLC is, 99.999% of the time is going to be great. I'm very aware of land trusts.
We don't
they're appropriate in some cases, but
for this
it's
kind
anonymity. If you're after anonymity, then go for it.
I was like, are there extra costs and like accounting stuff involved in this?
No, because the trust, I don't know if the trust files a tax return.
Hold on a moment. That's the whole thing. Since we have the time, I'd like to ask. Yeah. Are there going to be extra costs due to work incurred by my accountant untangling this at the end of the year?
No, because I don't think an accountant's going to care whether the property's in a land trust or not. All the accountant cares about is the financial statement that's associated with the LLC.
How about the attorney? Do I need to have an attorney on staff, basically, or at my will to move properties in and out of the trust? How does that happen?
It's the equivalent of how we used to do deeds out of escrow. So
the trust is established.
Yeah, and you can do the trust on literally.
So I just put it in the name of the trust, the grantee is the Jack and Jill Family Trust.
That's right.
So I don't have to do anything with the trust documents. It's just
correct.
Established.
That's the beauty too, is that.
So you could do a land trust in lieu of the LLC. I don't have to go buy the property to my LLC to my land trust.
What you could do and what you should do is the trust, now that the property, you've got 40 acres in Illinois, let's say, and it's in Jack and Jill Trust. What you would do is convey the trust to the new buyer. This is what, you're right. We do have time to talk about this in this new format.
I want to hear this.
What's really going to happen here in reality, what will happen is that this is going to send it's a red flag for certain buyers. You're going to have to put yourself in a situation where you're constantly explaining why you're not redeeding the property, that you're just,
selling them the trust. They don't want that.
That's right.
That's a nightmare to explain that one.
Yeah.
And you can't, you don't want to put it into the trust and then back it into the LLC and then back it into that one. You can't. No.
What would probably end up happening is you would convey the trust to the title agent would do this. The title agent would convey the trust, rewrite the trust, put it into the new owner's name, and then simultaneously grant from the trust to the new owner and re-record the deed anyway. I wouldn't do it on this path.
Yeah, this is Sid. If your head is not hurting by now, right now Sid's like, I'm sorry I asked.
All of our listeners are sorry you asked too.
Never mind.
The 6 listeners that are left listening to this are sorry about that also.
Let's go back. So what is the right way to do it? I would like to explain. So here's the right way to do it. If you're brand new starting out, is there anything wrong with putting it in your name? Nope. For the first couple of deals, no, that's no problem with that. Then go ahead. You don't have to spend the money and do all that work ahead of time. Some states, it's a couple of hours to get an LLC. In other states, it's very expensive, like California, and time consuming. And it costs $800 a year just to have the dumb LLC, which I don't get.
In
whatever.
California.
So anyway, my point is, the right way is either of those are perfect and what you need. And Sid, if you're a secret celebrity and we don't know who you are, I apologize. That's why you're hiding. I don't know. Sid's name is probably not even really Sid. That's funny. Okay.
Today's first topic is called What Top Land Investors Are Doing Differently for 2023. It's the meat of the show, by the way.
I forgot my little timer, so I'm making a little bit note here. Okay, so I would love to ask you questions.
Sure.
Because this is really important to me, and I'm sure it's very important to you listening and watching, because we're all getting a little freaked out.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why. I'm personally going like, what's happening? Like everybody keeps saying, don't worry about it. There's going to be a minor readjustment and we're watching interest rates and it's like nothing drastic. And they're talking about probably a little bit more increase. It's going to be fine. And then we see XYZ company laying off, and then this company laying off, and that company laying off, like a lot of people. And then I'm seeing things like, so-and-so is exiting office space, whatever, the office space environment, I'm just like, I get two different stories about what I should really be concerned about in 2023. And I'm saying I'm coming to you, Jack, from the general community here.
So I do a lot of news type real estate related research every week, largely because I do a short talk about what's happening in the U.S. real estate market at the beginning of our Thursday call for a close call for our members on Zoom. Here's what I think is really going to happen. One thing is for sure, 2023 is going to be a volatile real estate environment. I personally love volatility in markets. I don't like when they're consistent and predictable and then they're the same. Real estate, I've long said, is very, in my opinion, predictable. Unlike the stock market, you have really no idea what the stock market's going to do tomorrow or this year. Real estate, you can follow trends and look at data, and in the end, I think that interest rates are going to park themselves around 6 or 7%. I don't think we're going to see crazy hyperinflation like we did in the 80s. I think that we were going to see a nationwide market correction from the tip top pricing for mostly houses, not necessarily commercial real estate, from July of 2022. That was the top. Mm-hmm. And we're going to see about a single to very light double-digit market correction, meaning 8%. It'll be reduced. In some markets, I think it's going to be way more acute. Markets that were, and you can really easily research which markets are it's the Southwest and the western part of the country. Really,
maybe in the South. What about even some of the other
in the
parts
South, like Florida?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Florida, Las Vegas, and Arizona are the three markets that typically really increase and then really decrease. So
I want to pause for just a second. Will you please share with the planet here? One of the things that not only are you so data focused and hyper in tune with all of this stuff, but please explain to all of us how many times you've been through this, because that's so important. Let me just make a note here. Wait till you hear how long this guy's been investing in land and how many times he's done this. And so why you really can make these statements. This is not your first rodeo.
Jill, I hate to break it to you, but you and I have been through the same number of recessions.
Well, I know, but hold on a moment. Not while being like I'm 20. That's not what I meant. That's true. But I had a W-2 job for I had a W-2 job for the first several. For the last two, for this one and the one before it, I was with you. So, but you were doing this way before me. So you've lived this. You've lived through this as a full-time real estate investor. That's important.
Yeah, so that's true. And I've been through 3 market corrections, 3 recessions.
Thank you.
And 5 in my entire life, but 3 while I was full-time buying and selling land.
That's what I'm trying to get out.
And the one around, the one that last one that you and I went through together was brutal.
Yeah, that was
brought
hard.
Jill and I to our knees financially.
Well, I luckily came into that.
Yeah.
I jumped into the business with you in the middle of the bottom.
She saved us, actually.
So
got on the phone like she does all the time and took we had thousands of properties, literally owned thousands of properties. And she got on the phone and wholesaled them all out to, we paid cash. That's the only thing that saved us.
Yep.
We just don't fund or finance anything ever when it comes to land acquisitions and she got on the phone and liquidated a lot of the property. Some of it a slight loss, but
not much, really.
Thank you.
I don't even think really there was
1 or 2 deals, and that's about it.
Yeah, not much, really. It was like, it was just, we sold them for not what we wanted to sell them for, but big deal. So we only made, 50% profit instead of our, 100% profit. I can handle that.
Well, what ended up happening then too, since I guess we're talking about this, is that it allowed us to raise our own capital, convert that real estate into cash to go do even better acquisitions, because
that's the point.
That's what this topic is really about.
There we go.
This is going to be an absolutely extraordinary acquisition year for us, and I hope for you. I hope for all of our members. It's going to be a topic. It's not going to be. It is. It's a topic.
It's not often enough. Well, you know what? I see it now and then, but that's the point. What are top land investors and other real estate investors doing right now in 2023? Gathering cash.
Preparing for war. That's right.
Exactly. To buy up all the great stuff that's coming. That's the thing.
You know, a typical deal for us is maybe we buy a property for 25 to 35% of what the retail value of the land is. And it'll be way less than that now, 15%.
Well, you can talk about houses at that prices. You know, back in the last recession, buying houses at, I don't know, for $20,000 that are worth, now they're $200,000. And people are like, what? Like, no. And you can go back. You can literally go, like, look in West Phoenix. If you really don't believe this, I'll tell you. Go on Zillow or Realtor or something like that. Look in West Phoenix and look at some of the, I don't know, 1,200 square foot homes around there and dig deep into bought and sold. Look at the numbers in there, and you'll find them back in 07, 08, 09, selling for really inexpensively, and then what they're worth now.
Jill and I were buying houses back then for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 and selling them for $60,000, $80,000, $100,000.
Exactly. And now they're $200,000. Like, I wish I would have held on them even longer.
Without doing anything. In fact, you know, we have a company called House Academy that we never talk about. We're going to bring that back this year.
Yeah.
Because I think there's, especially in rural markets, what's different now is the availability of the internet. You know, if you follow the show at all, you know that we spent last summer testing Starlink from an RV all over rural America. And it's just a game changer. I think that there's a lot of towns that have never gotten high-speed internet. And I think you can live literally anywhere now, certainly in this country with Starlink and work remotely.
It's the greatest thing. You know, it's so funny. I got a note from someone on my team earlier today, like, hey, just a heads up, because they're remote. And they're like, hey, my internet's down and I expect it to be up around 1. I'm like, big deal. That's what hotspots are for. They're like, yeah, you're right. I'm like, you didn't even need to tell me anything. I would not have known. I could still, like, we've done that on the road. If there's times that, you know, we're in a location where we didn't want to deal with it, get it out, or it takes a little bit to get it juiced up, basically. If you have Starlink, you probably know this. Jack learned this. But so what? Hop on your phone and hotspot on your computer. That's all you need to do. It's great. So I'm trying to think of other things. I hope that, and I know it's true within Land Academy, you and I are really hardcore about buying the property. Don't take a equitable interest in it and try to double end it. All this stuff could go wrong. And please don't finance it. If you need the money, get a money guy in who you together buy the property. So I think I know for us and our community that of really solid, good investors, that's what we're doing.
One of the things that separates professional land investors from maybe novice investors is how they use capital. And I would encourage you, no matter where you are or who you are or where you are in your career or how you go about this, I would encourage you to seek funding, whether you need it or not, to one of the higher profile funders in our group, if you're in our group.
Right.
Because I think it's something that it will change how you send mail out. You will kind of shoot a little higher.
Yeah, you can go for anything. Find a great deal.
Because now $2 million property is completely and totally within reach.
Exactly.
And so if you're buying a $2 million property that's worth $10 million, people are going to they'll find you and fund your deal. Or
Wouldn't
maybe you kick in 100.
That's my comment when everybody goes, when I'm like, hold on, just think about this for a minute. If someone came to you and said, fill in the blank, you're not going to believe this classic car that, you know, I know is worth whatever, 90 grand. This guy wants to get rid of it for 25. I need 25 grand. Be like, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
We're going to buy this.
So I would seek funding more to just open your mind. You don't want to give yourself a glass ceiling. There's enough things in the world that give you a glass ceiling automatically. You don't want to do that to yourself unintentionally when you're an investor. Am I saying if you're brand new, go and seek funding? No, not necessarily. I'm just saying if you've done a few deals or a bunch of deals, and I have incorrectly been really hardcore on this topic. Only spend your own money. Don't
Forever.
Ever borrow any money,
Yeah.
and that's just not the case. Jill and I pretty quietly buy 1, 2, maybe 3 houses a year. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we get funding from other people, sometimes we don't. And we usually pay about, 20% on the money and almost always come out making at least $100,000 on the house. We don't renovate anything. Mm-mm. We just send a ton of mail out.
That's House Academy stuff.
And just relist the property for sale.
Yep. I was just thinking about too, another thing that I'm going to say one thing. I do tell new people, by the way, just so you know. So I guess, again, like I told you, this is going to be a partners meeting. So I do tell people on the phone, if you only have 10 grand or 20 grand and you're jumping into this, so you can't, and you're trying to hold back money to buy property, don't do that. Spend it all on mail, spend it all on your education, get all that stuff out there, and then even if it's your first deal and you want to and you need someone else to fund the deal, there's nothing wrong with that. So, and I encourage that. So I'll fund it. I don't care. I always say this, like, look, when I know who you are. If I can see you're involved in our group, I can see you're watching everything, you're doing your work, and you come to me with a deal that I can look up and go, yeah, you're right. This is great. I don't care if it's your very first deal. I'll fund it. I know you're doing your homework. I know how you found it, so I trust you. It's good. But I was going to say another thing that I'm trying to think, other than financing. Well, go ahead.
Interest rates.
Okay, got it.
So this is a significant and, in my opinion, largely probably permanent, not permanent, but long-term. Interest rates are, we lived in a beautiful scenario for the last 10 years, having really, really low interest rates. And so interest rates...
Everybody's used to it, unfortunately.
Interest rates went from, mortgage rates anyway, went from about 3%, 2.5% to 3% to now 6, and they seem to be hovering there. What does that really mean? It means that if you buy a $100,000 asset and you finance it, your cost of capital used to be $3,000 a year, and now it's $6,000. So that's double. The price of owning a house with monthly payments has doubled in the last 6 months, really 5 months. So what does that mean for us? What it means is this, and we try to target, our beautiful sweet spot for land investment is around buy for 30, sell for 80, 90. Mm-hmm. At $80,000 or $90,000, people are usually writing checks.
Yeah.
They're not financing anything.
Yeah.
We're selling it to people who are writing a check. Mm-hmm. So this interest rate scenario doesn't affect them.
Correct.
Interest rates don't widely affect rich people.
Good point.
And so that's who you need to be. Now, is it really, really likely to sell a $250,000 asset for cash? It's a lot less likely than to sell a $90,000
Does
asset
it happen?
for cash.
Yeah.
Sure. And so there are people, a substantial number of people, and those numbers get higher and higher every year. There's more rich people every year worldwide, sitting on the sidelines or...
You're welcome. I know a lot of them very well.
We get thank you notes to the effect all the time.
That's it.
People sitting on the sidelines with just too much cash, looking to invest it in things like land. And land is a fantastic place to park money.
Do you know what's funny? I have to say this real quick. Word's getting out a little bit. It used to be everybody poo-pooed land, like, oh, you guys, it's just like, it's, they don't see the value in it because there's nothing done to it. It's not improved in any way. And like, every person not in our world, I swear, when they think rural vacant land, if I say that, they think it's 20 miles out there. It's just, it's stupid. People are now, so when I used to say, we're land investors, they'd be like, oh, not talking to those guys. Now it's a little bit different. They're like, oh,
why is that?
I know.
Because when we started this,
I know we weren't.
Everybody would just kind of look at the wall.
Like, this is stupid. Exactly.
I really wonder why that is. Why?
I think word's getting out that we're making money? Or are they somehow seeing the value in it? Or are they, come on, it all has to start with land.
So the reason that classic real estate investors kind of look down their nose at land people is because it doesn't generate income. If you take the simplest form of a real estate investment, which is buy a house and rent it out, you've got two dynamic, two serious money-making boxes.
Right.
You've got the cash that's coming in every month from the rent, and you have the balance sheet aspect of the value of the property is just naturally going up. And so when you expand that thought to a Class A office building in an urban center or a huge garden apartment complex somewhere, in a city, in a mid-sized city, those numbers get large. They get very, very big. So land, unless it's farmland or leased land, you don't have that second component. You have the balance sheet component, but you don't have the income statement component. So what do? Why does it make sense that we buy land and we're so lifelong serious about it? We sell it. This is our income statement. Because the only reason we can sell it quickly and efficiently is because we buy it so cheap.
Right. Here's going to be my new line. Next time I'm in an elevator with somebody like this and they're like, what's the point? Why? That's not making any money. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, well, I doubled my money in 30 days. How long is it going to take you to double your money? And that'll shut them up.
Land is just the other thing too about land is that there's literally no moving parts. Every other type of real estate that I know has got all kinds of moving parts and stuff goes wrong.
Totally.
It's tenants and the things that really, unless you're big enough to have a full-time management company doing all the nuts and bolts work for you.
Right.
Land is, there's probably, Jill and I have done 16,000 deals. I bet I've seen less than 100 properties in person.
And by the way, let me make sure you know this too. This one here has owned office buildings. Dream it up. We've done them all.
I've failed at a lot of stuff real estate related.
Pretty much owned it all, deliberately or unintentionally. So that happens. I want to add another thing about what I think that we're doing, that other top land investors are doing, and then I want you to know about, listener, is buckets. Will you please explain, we joke about this, explain the buckets, and then we have bucket 7 now going.
So buckets I have three basic buckets that we drop real estate acquisitions into. And I'll tell you, this isn't something I set out to do during the mailer phase of the acquisition. So I only decide what bucket of property is going to go into after Jill and I have decided, well, really Jill decides that we're going to buy it.
That's so funny. It's like the mail goes out. I'm like, nope, no, just kidding.
And the buckets are as follows. So you you send out, you do a mailer, somebody signs the offer, they send it back, and you're on your way to buying a $30,000 asset that we know, both of us feel strongly that we can sell it for 80 or 90. 80 or 90 is not retail. That's bucket 1 property. 80 or 90 is wholesale property. Get it, buy it, sell it, get your money back out, go do the next deal. Bucket 2 property is, and I love bucket 2 property, is, okay, we're going to buy it for 30 anyway, and we're going to list it for 150. That's about retail, and I know it's going to take a year to sell. And we're okay with that because it's just like putting money into a bank account. And for whatever reason, we have determined, usually this is me, because Jill wants to bucket 1 everything. I'm happy waiting a year, maybe sometimes longer, to get the right person to come along and write the check. I
have to tell you, I am changing my tune on that. Even right now, there's a few properties that we own, and I'm like, you know what? I know if we sit on this even longer, it's just going to keep going up.
Yep.
So I'm okay. It's not like I'm hurting for cash.
Bucket 3 is something unusual is happening, and you can dream it up on that. Maybe we subdivide the property, minor split it. Maybe we grade it a little, or blade in. It doesn't happen too often. Blade in a little area so that if anybody actually goes to see it as a potential acquisition for themselves, they have a great experience. We blade in a little tiny driveway or a road through the trees or all that. Yeah.
Right.
And so bucket 3 is very profitable. It's also, now you got to do stuff. And I don't like to do stuff that much.
Exactly. That's good. Thank you. I'm trying to think if there's any last things before we go on to our next topic.
Listen, yeah, we'll go on to our next topic. But listen, you got to send the mail out now more than ever, because these people, there's all these layoffs that Joe was talking about. People are going to need money. And the first thing that they do when they need money is to liquidate assets they're not using. Yep. If they happen to own property, they're going to put your offer that you send them on the refrigerator, and they might not call you immediately. We have multiple people calling us all the time. Now, when they were laughing at us, laughing at our offers last year, and now they're interested in selling.
Yep. We were just talking about on our Thursday show. A lot of people raise their hands. They're like, yep, 6 months ago call, a 9 month ago mailer call. We had one Carl and Sam. They said there was a mailer that they didn't even remember mailing. They're like, I didn't think did we mail this county? Kind of thing. And they did. And there was somebody now coming back saying, hey, would you still buy this? And what's nice too is these sellers know, like, hey, I know your offer's expired. I know things have changed. What would you give me for it now? And so it really opens the door for you too to make some great deals.
2023 is going to be great.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to happen for you in 2023 if you don't send any mail out.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's take a look at one of our favorite land acquisitions from our weekly Thursday member webinar.
Would you do this deal? 2.4 acres, zone commercial, buy for 33. Lots of residential. Not sure if dead land or has potential to build commercial property. Everyone's alive. We have access. Good frontage to the street.
All right, immediately, let's check adjacent. So these are our master plan communities, and they're, it looks like the majority of these houses are sold. Same thing over here. Not so much here. This subdivision didn't work out, and we'll check in a second, didn't sell out. And when they went to subdivide this property, why didn't they include this? It would have been very logical chances are it's for terrain reasons. Access, heck yeah.
I'm on the warmer side on this one. No, I'm serious. I like it. Look, see, it's more built out than we think it is. This is where my gas station is going to go. My 7-Eleven, what would I put there? Jill's Coffee.
What is it doing here? Jill's Coffee?
Yes.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Yes. Jill's Donuts and coffee.
Look at all these new houses.
That's what I'm saying. Hold on a moment.
Yeah, look at that. They're building something over
And
there.
was that a school or a church right
How
there?
much is this?
I know, it's like 33,000.
Yeah, this looks great.
Oh,
This looks amazingly good.
see? Let's not poo-poo the thing yet.
All right, so the dirt's awesome. I don't know what this is.
It's look at the photo again. The photo I thought when you dropped the guy down there. said-
Hopefully it's the beginning of this.
Well, this is a school or something.
Carl,
There's
what
a
do you think this
baseball.
is?
I think it's church.
At first, I thought it may be a compost situation or something, but I don't think so. I mean, I click on the
Check the owner.
owners, Warner Robins First Assembly of God.
So maybe it's like a
Oh.
church thing.
Oh, there we go. It's a church.
Oh, it's a church.
But are they building a
Beautiful.
church, you think?
Yeah, because it showed a flame on the sign. I'm not kidding. And I looked to me at a glance. This one goes so fast. I'm like,
It shows a flame and it's a church.
I can tell.
It's like- It's the gates to hell if you don't pay attention.
No, I just look like the flame on, you would see it on my church program.
The church is building something.
Yes.
She goes to a weird church.
Look, it's in the middle of some major progress.
Yeah.
And so if it's cheap enough, we're buying it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. If it's commercial, Jason, like we're looking on LoopNet now. This is where you would be looking for comps.
Oh, it is commercial.
Is it commercial?
He says it's zone commercial. I didn't catch.
LoopNet,
So
baby.
Jill's Coffee could go there.
Jill's, that's what I said. Jill's Coffee and Donuts. I'm buying this.
It's 2 acres. This is looking great.
I know.
It's looking real great.
Yeah, that is.
All those houses, they need coffee.
They do. And church people, I went to coffee and donuts every
people.
Sunday. I would
So-
sell out.
The answer is yes on this.
Mhm.
I would go straight to phase 2 due diligence,
Uh-huh.
and I would prove yourself wrong.
Yeah.
I would find out what you can't do, what the limits are. Is it buildable?
Get a broker's opinion from somebody off LoopNet who's working in that area.
Well, let's look at LoopNet.
Could go, sure.
Eight acres, 383, 8 acres, 750,
Um,
20 acres, 367.
I'm gonna sit with my yes card here. and let
So
you-
I agree, but here's property for, 35,000, it's 1 acre. So you need to get a commercial real estate broker, find a listing agent here
Mhm,
who's closest to your property or most like kind anyway,
mhm.
and get a valuation on it. But I think it's probably worth 100 grand. You're paying 30.
Jason, I would, if it were me right now too, I'd open escrow and have an escrow number
So
on
would
this
I.
while I'm figuring out the details.
I agree.
Because if you had to back out, you could.
What do you guys think?
Mhm.
I like it. I just want to hear your opinion on the name of the owner, Jack.
Oh.
Oh, no.
No, it's not.
It's just like
Oh.
investment holdings.
And
That's
that,
okay.
yeah, that's okay. I know it's okay. I just, at times it wonders if this is an investment and this is a legitimate investment holding company, why are they not understanding its true value? That's what
do it.
my question is that I'd have to have answered before I fully send somebody some money. But
Parcel A, phase 1, Madison Place. Wonder if this is Madison Place behind. this
Madison
one.
Place, yeah, it is.
Mhm. Okay, got it. And then this could be mom's initial, dad's initial, kid's initial, and they've owned it forever.
True.
Waiting for this.
Carol, everybody's right.
Yeah.
So why isn't it being used if it was part of this original development? And it could be because the guy's 98 and he's just done,
Yeah,
which happens to us all the time.
yeah,
So now it's to try to find something wrong with it.
totally.
The signage opportunity here, if not anything else,
Is awesome.
in all this development, this could be a rock star property.
Mhm.
I mean, that church is building a new facility on the road right there, right? So that's a positive.
Look at
Mhm.
this.
Mhm. It's awesome.
This could be a home run. You know what? I'll tell you what, if we found out and it all checked out, you know what we would do at this point in our career and in our lives, and Joe might kick me under the desk here, which wouldn't be the first time, even in this Thursday call. I would just buy this and forget about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that actually. I would buy it too and hold it. Like
It's like-
let it build up a little bit more.
It's like putting 30 grand in the bank
Uh-huh,
that it's going to be worth 300
uh-huh,
Mhm.
in the next cycle and the whole thing.
uh-huh.
Every one of those subdivisions is just being finished up now. I mean, look at the satellite imagery. I mean, things are only going to change there.
Mhm.
I think it's great.
good county.
Jason.
Good
Deal of the
area.
day, deal of the day so far.
Totally. If this sings to you and you want to learn more about Land Academy and everything that we do, go get our free ebook. It's, I don't know how many pages, 13 pages. I want to say something like that. I'm going to say between 10 and 15 pages is what it was condensed to, believe it or not. But it's our whole business model and it's free. All you got to do is go to landacademy.com, find the link for get the free ebook, pop in your first name, last name, and email address. I think that's all you need. And it'll pop right in there and then read it. It will really talk about Jack's background, some of my background, how we got here and how we've grown this business and everything about us and what we teach. So in Land Academy, just so you know too, we teach our business model. We did not set out to be educators, if you will. We are investors first. So, and we just happen to share our business model all bundled up for you, start to finish, and that's Land Academy. So go get the ebook and check all that out.
Hundreds of people do this every day. Hundreds of people download the ebook
yeah.
every day. It's worth it.
Yep.
Let's take another question posted by one of our members on the Land Academy Discord online community. If you want a sneak peek at that community, go to landinvestors.com and take a read-only look. It's free.
All right. This time we have Chris. So Chris wrote, I just rejoined Land Academy after originally joining back in 2020. My business never hit the ground running due to some unforeseen events that made me set it to the side. I'm looking forward to diving back in and getting my first mailer out within the next 2 weeks. That being said, back in 2020, I was told to give the desert land a try so that I could get some deals under my belt. Is that still a valid suggestion, or is that too competitive? I live in South Carolina, so desert land is foreign to me. Any advice starting out would be much appreciated. Did you write, by the way, did you put my comment in there before I read this one?
No, because I figured you just do it.
Oh, okay. Like, you could have put it in there because I replied to this too. So I'll read what Janae wrote. Is just Janae's the only comment you put in here? Okay, so Janae in our community wrote to Chris, hey Chris, this is exactly how I got started. I wanted to make sure that I liked the land business first. So before I invested in education, I liked the land business before I even invested in education. Got it. So I bought a few desert squares prior to joining Land Academy. All self-close and worked through each transaction. I did 6 deals.
Amazing.
Yep. I discovered that I did like the land biz, and then I joined Land Academy. If you want, send me a direct message and I'll go into further details on just how I did it. How nice is that? So my advice was skip it. You don't have to, and go to some areas that you know. Follow the new program, learn to troll, and just get the mail out. What were you going to say?
Exactly that. Good. Exactly. I don't, but you know what, Jill and I are pretty aggressive people.
That's true.
And we're pretty intense when it comes to, if we're going to set aside some effort, if we're going to go do something, we're going to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And so I
scare
kind of
people.
Swing the fence, our children and everything.
Exactly.
I swing for the fences.
Yeah.
I don't. If you swing for the fences, you're going to hit some singles. If you try to hit singles, you're going to hit singles.
You know what it is, and you just have to get up and do it. We've talked about this. This is a whole nother show that we'll do another time. But like, how do you get that confidence? You just do it. When I talk to people about adding a zero, stop buying for 1,000, buy for 10,000. They're like, oh, that's scary. I'm like, well, how much do you have in the bank? 50,000. I'm like, so buy one. What's holding you back? I'm just afraid. I took me a while, but I got.
Just use other people's money here.
No, but I'm just like, they're even afraid to send those mailers out, afraid to talk to those people. I'm like, you just have to do it. And then once you do it, you're like, oh, and then you realize now I'm never going back. Like, I can't believe I hung out for another extra 6 months because I was afraid of it, buying all these things for 1, 2, and 3,000. Now I buy for 10, 20, 30,000.
The real answer to this question is it's up to you.
Yeah.
If you feel like you need some practice, I don't think self-closing property without a title agent is that necessary.
For little, you have to for little properties because you'll eat up your whole profit.
I mean, no, I understand.
Yeah.
There's many properties that we purchased that the closing costs were larger than the actual acquisition price.
Oh, but that's because they're worth way more.
But my point is, I don't think you necessarily have to start small here.
No,
I wouldn't buy a commercial piece of real estate for $2 million for my first deal. But
I'd go for $10,000.
10, 20, 30,000.
Yeah.
And list it with a real estate agent and hopefully sell it quickly for 50, 70, 80, 90. Mm-hmm. I think that's an okay first transaction. It just needs to make sense. It's up to you and how much confidence you have.
Yep. It's so good.
Today's second topic is how to troll for new land acquisition markets like a pro. It all starts with trolling.
Yeah.
When I decide to go into a new market, it's usually around 8 p.m. at night, and Jill and I probably sitting in front of the television watching something meaningless, and I pick up my phone and start trolling.
You told me you liked all that Meghan and Harry stuff.
I would not.
Could you imagine?
If somebody paid me, if somebody said,
here's what we're watching tonight.
Here's $10,000. Why don't you spend some time researching the royal family? I would say, keep your 10,000.
Come on. You mean, That's the guy version of like faking it.
What is it with this royal family?
I don't
Look,
know.
I understand that it's a massive moneymaker for England. And I understand that how much land they own. And I've actually really looked into what the hell, because I originally thought, it's 2023.
Are we still doing this?
Not sure we need a royal family, really.
Right.
And it turns out that England really does need it. It's a huge tourist attraction, and it's a massive moneymaker. The way that they have it set up with land leases and the deal that they have with the British government is pretty cool. You should look into it. They have just thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of acres that they lease for various all over the country, probably all over the world. I don't know, and the media. Mm-hmm. So no, but I don't need to watch a documentary on, especially a fictitious one. And take your pick now. There's about 9 of them.
It's funny. It's like it's turned. I mean, I guess it probably always was like a British soap opera. I like British soap operas, and this is just another British soap opera.
I just,
I don't like the American one.
it's a sign of the times.
Yeah.
I don't know what these really wealthy, rich people who now live in California have to complain about.
Oh my goodness. Right now it's rain. So
Anyway.
I'm writing myself a note. For those of you who know what this is, I haven't caught up on EastEnders in a while, so I'm going to catch up on EastEnders. It made me think of this.
Jill has some type of, and she's not the first person that I've met like this through the years, some type of unhealthy interest in England.
I don't know. It started with Depeche Mode. It has to. No? I don't know what it was, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. No, it's just kind of funny. I guess, what it probably started with? My dad.
The food's terrible.
Do we need to go here? Is this going in a bad way? Tell me if I should shut up.
No, go
Okay.
ahead.
No.
The food's terrible.
Well, my dad got me watching
weather's
Faulty
terrible.
Towers. My dad watched Benny Hill.
Yeah, I don't think that's funny, that stuff.
Oh, no, Faulty Towers I like. Faulty Towers is cute and funny. It's not like Benny Hill. So that one, and there was another one, I can't remember what it was. But didn't you watch the Canadian guys? They're kind of like that too.
Canada and England are real different.
But there's some off Canadian humor that's similar too. Not just Bob and Doug McKenzie.
No, I
other
just
stuff.
England is, I don't know. They had the shortest industrial revolution in the history of ever. I think it lasted about 20 minutes in the early 20th century.
All right. All right, I'm going to bring
I
it
wasn't
back
even
in.
done with the list.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Their cars are terrible.
Oh, yes.
Their steel rusts.
The tea's good.
They for whatever reason decided that all throughout the
We got
19th and the 20th century that they need to colonize the planet.
things I like
I
about
don't think
England.
that's okay.
Wait, tea, cookies,
I don't know. Asia's got some great tea too.
the chocolate. I'm sorry, whatever that chocolate. I can't remember the name of that. That's not that good. What else do we have? I'm sure they make great umbrellas.
I'm sure they make great umbrellas.
I'm so sorry. I'm running out of things. And by the way, I am like, maybe this is part of my problem because I am more than 50% Irish.
They produced some amazing rock bands in the middle of the
That they have is
middle of
music.
the other century, but all of them admittedly said, "Yeah, we modeled all of our music after Texas blues."
I don't watch cricket. So I'm not into that. So anyway,
That's fun.
thank you.
I
Okay,
like
back.
that. I love bashing England. I don't know why.
Here's where. Hey, maybe every week we'll pick a new country to give a hard time with the bash. So stick around. Your country might be coming up next week.
And now there's all these documentaries about whining kids in the royal family and how that they've just been wronged somehow. They get $50 million for being quiet.
I know.
I don't get it.
Okay, so here's how I think this topic 2 ties into topic 1, by the way, loosely. But we talked about 2023 and thinking about being an investor. So and it all starts with finding great property. Period. You have to find the deals, not how you buy it, not how you sell it. It's sourcing it first. And doing that is, we call it trolling. Jack came up with this whole thing, trolling for new markets. So please explain more.
So we're trying to profile in general with this new format. We're trying to profile what makes some people so successful at this, and I'm patting ourselves on our back a little bit. And one of the things is choosing new markets. Yeah. Every Thursday, we have the Land Academy closed webinar. And most of the content that happens during that webinar is, would you do this deal? Where people, they find assets that they're potentially going to buy. They present them on the show, and Jill and I, and we usually have guests talk about whether or not we would do the deal. And for some reason, we get a disproportionate amount of acquisition targets to talk about in 3 states.
Yeah.
Tennessee, North Carolina, and Florida. I don't know why this is. And what ends up happening, I think, is there's tons and tons of people that attend this webinar, the Closed Land Academy webinar. They decide for some reason that that's the place to send mail. So it just becomes worse.
Everybody else is like, oh, I'm going to do that. You found that deal over here, then I'm going to mail that county too, which is great. But you, if you're a Land Academy, you know how to find areas that no one else is hitting. That's the best part.
Jill and I instruct a mastermind course called Career Path twice, sometimes 3 times a year. We'll do it again this year, at least one time, maybe twice. And one of the things, and that class is packed full of people that are making $6 million a year. And you know where they don't send mail? Those 3 states.
Yeah.
One of the things, again, along the lines of what we're trying to do with this longer format, is to profile these incredibly successful people.
Yeah.
They troll. They send out 10, 20, 30,000 units of mail at a time in 5 different markets. And 1 or 2, it's risk diversification. No one can argue with that. And the only downside is that, yeah, it's expensive, but look, all you have to do is one deal.
Expensive compared to what?
One single deal.
Yeah,
it's going to cover your entire mailing effort for the whole year.
Yeah, I don't see how that's expensive.
I shouldn't say expensive. What I mean is it costs something. And
it's not free. It costs something. That's hilarious.
But I like to say,
From 0 to not 0 is expensive for some people. Wait, I have to tell you one thing that I'm going to throw our staff under the bus a little bit here. They made this comment about our Land Academy community, and you know who you are. This is meant with love, but it's like, we have the cheapest rich people in our community. Yeah. It's hilarious. Sometimes
I heard that recently too. Cheap rich people.
And I have to admit, I do that too. There's times that I'm like, oh well, that's the way how it goes. And then there's times that no, I'm going to stand in line and make sure I get my $2 for my coupon because they forgot my coupon. So I get it.
So how do you troll? This is what you do. Sit down at a computer, not on your phone for the first time, and log into either realtor.com or Zillow.com. Zillow is probably easier to use the first time. And set yourself a parameter. First, we'll do the price parameter. Let's say land only. And we'll set a price parameter of, I don't know, whatever your target price is, $80,000 to $90,000.
To sell?
To sell.
Okay. What you want to sell it for?
So your price parameters, between 70 and 90, let's say. Your acreage criteria is maybe 1 to 5 acres, 1 to 3 acres, maybe 5 to 10 acres. Joe would probably, larger is better in general for sales. And start on the West Coast or the East Coast and start moving around and move through your mouse, move all throughout the country. And you're going to see where properties get populated. You're going to see clusters of all kinds of land that's listed for, like whatever parameter you put in, $70,000 to $90,000, then do it for sold. And you're going to find these little pockets of places all over the country where there's a lot of property. And as you're doing that, either write it down or make a mental note that Tulsa, Oklahoma, let's say, I'm just throwing one out, kind of seems to fit the criteria. So hypothetically, it might work. We don't know yet. We don't guess at anything here at Land Academy. We're going to find out for sure in a minute whether Tulsa works or not.
Like, say you're moving your mouse around. Tell me if I'm right or wrong here. I know the answer, but I'm doing this for everybody. Like, I'm rolling my mouse around Tulsa and I see, oh, look at this. There are 95 properties listed between 70 and 90,000 between 1 and 5 acres that I put in. Oh, this is good. And then I toggle over to the sold properties and go 345 sold in the last 12 months. Ding, ding.
So now you're not guessing anymore.
I'd be like, whoop, there's something there.
Because we don't like risk.
Yeah.
Risk and investment don't go together.
Uh-huh.
And so Jill's exactly right. So you take a look, you compare sold and active listings, and you want that to be 2-to-1, maybe even 3-to-1 in certain cases. So what do you do now? You deconstruct that market into zip codes, and then you run the red, green, yellow test, which is I explain in the program in great detail. And you test each of those zip codes. Probably, most likely, they're going to be adjacent to each other. You pit them against each other to find out who has the best statistics, days on market, and this is all in our program. This is what rich people who buy and sell land obsess on.
Yep.
They obsess on new markets and trolling. I do. I obsess on it. If I have 3 minutes to do anything, I don't know, standing in line at a bank or something like that, I just immediately start trolling.
Yep. Well, here's the thing, and what it does for you, like Jack's explaining, when you put the zip codes together, you think oh, it's going to be this area is the hot area, not this one, not this one, not this one. This either confirms or lets you know, like, oh, shoot, I was looking on the west side of town. I should be looking on the east side of town. That zip code's even hotter.
Some of the people who run the red, green, yellow test in Career Path now, these are very successful land investors, have their own red, green, yellow test, or they've taken mine, which is good enough for me. The 3 or 4 statistics that mine generate to make one zip code better than the other, they expand that into like 9 or 10 or 15. And so now you're not guessing at all. Now you know what's going to happen when you send mail out at 20 or 30% of retail value in that market, because you know, and you know how fast it's going to sell, and you know what the values are.
I want to add that this is new. Like, so people who think, oh, I missed the boat, I'm jumping at the wrong time. No, you're not. It keeps getting better. So this data that we're now collect on Zillow and Realtor wasn't there 5 years ago for land deals. Maybe a few, maybe a handful. But now there's so much on there that we can see, and it's great. So it makes it, we used to say that land is a little bit harder to price. Houses are easy because of the data. But now we're getting more and more land stuff.
Yep.
It is awesome.
Houses we price different since Joe brought it up. Trolling for houses is a lot easier because there's consistency in pricing. 2 houses that are next to each other in a relatively newer area are going to be, and I say newer because, from 1950s on, because they're similar. That's how developers scaled their companies, by building the same houses close to each other. So, or at least a price per square foot. So it's really easy to price house mailers, and it's a little bit more challenging for land. But boy, we've taken just about all the mystery out of, will this mailer work or not?
I'm gonna explain too. So real world stuff, like, so Jack's saying get on your computer, but real world is he's sitting on his phone. So he's on his phone, he's standing behind me in line for fill in the blank, whatever we're doing. And he's like, let's just say we're at Bevmo.
Jill's watching Prince Harry whine about how much money he has too.
No, like, say we're in line at the grocery store at Bevmo or something, right? Because we're not usually at the grocery store, but we might be there. Anyway, so Jack's on his phone looking at whatever, and he's not doing his hardcore research there. He's just making mental notes, right? So I'm gonna go back and look at this area, I'm gonna go back and look at this area, and go back and look at that area. So then next day, next week, whatever his time is to sit down and be looking at new places to send mail for our next mailer going out, that's when he's going to sit and run these red, yellow, green tests and pit them against each other and do all that. So I want to ask, how much time, can you please tell me, I'm brand new, how much time should I spend on just the high level trolling to come up with, say, 3 areas?
A bare minimum of 8 to 10 hours.
Oh, okay.
In the beginning. I can do it now.
Without doing the red, yellow, green test?
Honestly, I have like the country memorized. I know where.
Before you do the red, yellow, green test?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You only spend at least the equivalent of a full day digging into
And
this.
I wouldn't do it consecutive either, because your eyes will fall out of your head.
So a couple hours here, a couple hours there, and then by Friday, a little bit on Monday, a little bit on Wednesday, and a little bit on. By Friday, I got a good idea.
I got to tell you, too, on a personal note,
Yeah.
you're going to find out if you enjoy it.
Oh.
You're going to find out if the land business is for you. Yeah. I hate the stock market. I hate it. I've taken classes. I just don't like it.
Me too.
I don't like
it. Doesn't make sense to me.
And I don't like gambling either, for the exact same reason.
But I love this.
Me too.
I lay in bed and
Me too. I know you do.
I lay in bed and look at comps for fill in the blank. Sometimes it really is a hobby. Like, gee, I think, what would it be like? We just got back from Vail for Christmas. Wonder what the Vail market's going with today. I'm just sitting there looking at it. Why not?
You know, Jill and I met each other this way. Like, we were screwed up when we met. Like, I didn't mess her up. Like,
Thanks a lot.
I didn't make her join the Jack cult.
That's hilarious. That's good. That is true. And I'm good. I like it. You're right. So, I think maybe my Native American heritage has made me a land person too.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part
Maybe
of
it's
why
in
I'm
your
this
soul.
way. That's probably it. It's in my
I never
blood.
thought about that.
I was thinking, as I'm digging into that, I'm like, oh, maybe this is why I love land so much. And I'm begging you to keep our real grass in the backyard. Don't take my grass. So
We're the last people in Phoenix to have a lawn.
I know, and I'm okay with that.
I'm not.
Stop it. It's my one thing.
You brought it up.
So you get the garage, I get the backyard. So that's okay. So 8 to 10 hours just doing the trolling. Okay, now I've got Tulsa. I've got a city.
Please don't send mail to Tulsa.
No, I'm not gonna say.
Yeah.
I've got that city. I've got a city. I've got the city in the. How about this? I've got a county in the Northwest. I've got a county in the Midwest, and I've got a county on the East Coast. Let's just say that.
I think that's brilliant.
Okay, now I'm going to do my regular green test, and I have 3 counties. Tell me how much time I need to spend on each one.
Well, the red, green, yellow test, red, yellow, green test is either something that's going to come really easily to you, or it's going to be very, very difficult.
Painful.
It's obviously easy for me.
Right.
I've long said this since Jill and I started Land Academy. You know, we're way better together. And if you need to find a Jack or a Jill, there's a lot of people in Discord that are waiting to hear from you. You know, we have a ton of career corporate salespeople that do extremely well buying and selling land because they have Jill's personality. They like talking on the phone. They enjoy people and the people end of all this. I don't. I'm a tech person and an former recovering accountant. So that's just not. You need to find somebody that may work with you. Maybe it's your spouse. Maybe it's not necessarily another Land Academy member, but it's maybe didn't we have somebody that their kids are working for them in the last career path?
But we've always had that. We've always had people with kids and stuff too that do it. They may be in college. They may be out of college. Maybe it's your brother. Maybe it's your cousin. Who knows?
You can do a red, green, yellow test for 3 or 4 environments in less than an hour. If you're brand new, maybe 2 hours.
Okay.
What it's going to do is lead you to, well, what about this zip code? If these all zip codes are coming out, you know, I almost always run a red, green, yellow test for, let's say, 7 zip codes. And then I just decide to mail everything, regardless of how it comes out, unless it's really red, which is very unusual.
Okay. I have another follow-up question. So it's going to have, with those parameters that you have spelled out for us, cream's going to rise with the crop, right? So I have this county here, county. Now, do I look at them all together? What if this county looks great? These zip codes look great in this county, but they're still not as good as that county. Do I pick something in all of them, or what would you suggest?
So you can't, in my opinion, pit counties together or zip codes together that are in different parts of the country.
Thank you.
You want to? Is that what you're trying to get here?
Yep, I want to clarify this. Yes.
What happens in Western, let's say Western Washington State, is going to be very different than what happens in Arizona or Massachusetts. That's just how it is. It's the nature, because they're completely different real estate environments. But what happens in the 7 major zip codes that are in and around Tulsa, for example, they should be relatively the same, especially the land market. And so, no, don't even, you're wasting your time to compare
DOM of all of them.
Yes.
In one spreadsheet. You can't do that.
You can't say, well, all this stuff in Tulsa came out great, so I'm just going to mail there.
Right.
If what you want to do in Washington State or anywhere else for that matter is look at 7 or 8 zip codes in a market that you've trolled, and it makes sense from a trolling standpoint that you want to, you know,
pick the best ones.
Yeah, make sure they're local.
Okay.
Apples to apples.
Can I have a follow up to that too?
Sure.
Would you? I'm brand new. Do you want me to mail all 3?
Yeah.
Okay. And how much? Last thing I'm going to ask you, and I'll leave you alone. How much volume?
I think you should. I mean, if it were me,
per area.
man, I wouldn't. I'm
I'm
not
brand
sure I
new
would
and
do
money's not a
mailer.
problem.
I wouldn't do a mailer for less than 5,000 units.
Okay, per area, or of those three, I have three identified. So like 1,500, 1,600, 1,800.
I still think that's a little thin. I think 3 to 4 in each area would be ideal.
3,000 to 4,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So for those of you who are brand new and money's not a problem right now, that's what you should do.
Yeah, and you know, because if you find any level of a good transaction or a good land deal, there's people will throw money at you in our group.
Yeah.
Including us.
Well, that's the end result. So the end result is after it all goes out and comes back, you're going to go, oh, well, I'm going to focus on this area. I know what I found. I'm going to move everything over here, all my efforts, send more mail. I bought all the 1 to 5 acres. Now I'm going to buy the 5 to 10, and then I'm going to buy the 10 to 20 and be here for a while. And then maybe still, while that you're doing that, always be looking for new things to roll in with that.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Let's take a look at another one of our favorite land acquisitions from our weekly Thursday member webinar.
There's a lot just down the street going for 27 grand. That one's cleared. For lots on the golf course, the buyers of this type are very niche, or would be the general public. Okay, for lots on a golf course, are the buyers a very niche market or the general public who like things like this? Anything I should look out for? You know what? I think on a golf course when there's not an HOA is like a gold star starting out. But what's the price on this one? I don't see what the purchase price is, Victor. I have the APN, I have 0.69. What are you paying for this? Throw that in the chat. You got it. 4,200.
$4,200.
Uh-huh.
Didn't Victor have a home run like the last call we did?
Yeah.
This property sold in 22, so just a few months ago for 250. This is the adjacent property.
How
The
big is the
adjacent
one over-
vacant lot sold in 18 for 11,600. Right
Just
there.
buy this.
Yeah.
Right.
Victor, just buy it and put a sign right here.
Mhm.
And
Or
I would
clear it.
literally-
Put some nice grass down and put another hole there just to freak people out. Yeah. Just put another hole there with a
Awesome.
pin and see how many,
Make sure it's buildable.
That's
For
awesome.
some reason, these two lots on the end here aren't buildable. I mean, aren't built,
Because not cleared.
but see what I mean? These cul-de-sac properties are all built with $250,000 houses. These three are not. Who knows why? But I still think for $4,200
I'll
$4,200
take the
buy it.
chance.
and
Yeah,
sell it,
buy that.
I'd just put a sign out there and sell it for 20.
I'm more worried about days on market. I'm okay with that, Victor. I think DOM in this play, just for $4,200, park it. You're moving the money out of your bank account and eventually you'll move it back into your bank account.
That's what this deal is.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy might want a bigger backyard.
You.
Mhm.
Or nobody building behind him.
That's what I mean.
And for
Golf
20
course might
grand,
buy it off you.
no one will build back there.
Great
It's
work.
great. Oh, do me for can I just check one thing in here? Gotta just see real quick. They've owned it since 92. This is so good. All right, I like it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Welcome back. So, Jill, you have something inspirational to share with us at the end here?
Yes, I do. So here's my thought. I'm thinking about hangups people have. And I didn't mean to look at you when I said that.
Hang-ups that people have.
I'm sorry.
Jill, if you are in a long-term relationship and someone says, I was thinking about hang-ups that people have,
That's just
You know.
hypothetically speaking.
what she means is, here it comes. Let's hear what's wrong with me today.
Did you know? I'm sure many people have trouble picking out X or whatever it is. That's awesome. That's not what I meant. No, but what my last little thought today is, as we're going into 2023 and with this new year, I want you to help with your confidence. I want you to decide what your new title is going to be. Is it,
I like this.
You like this? Is it president? Is it CEO? Is it fill in the blank, owner, principal, whatever you want to do? I want you to, because this is it. And if you're like us and you want to be an investor, pick your title.
Not failing husband. That's not a title.
That's not a good title. Oh, that is a title. That's definitely a title. It's not a good title. So yeah.
Not college dropout.
No, that's not a good title. That's a title, but don't do that. No. But endlessly living on my parents' couch. That's not a title. That's not a good. I mean, that's a title, but that's not a good one. I want you to decide what your title is. I want you to, put that on your hat, basically, and I want you to own it. I'm dead serious. As crazy as it sounds, I see other Land Academy people, not that often, but I see them have like their own little company logo on their shirts, just
like this.
Yeah, like this. Owning it and loving it. And because you can wake up tomorrow and say, you know what, this is it. Whatever's going on in your head, and if you have a bad day, so what? Wake up tomorrow, put that hat back on, and say, I'm going to do better today. I'm going to solve whatever problems I had yesterday, and we're going to move forward.
That's interesting. I never thought about the real impact of embroidering something on your clothing, like the name of your company. I think that there's a huge subconscious, like it's real now, kind of thing.
Yep.
Used to be business cards, but no one does that anymore.
So big deal. You spend a couple $100 on Fiverr or Upwork and have somebody make you a logo that you think is cool. Spend another $50 or so getting a shirt embroidered or something or a hat. And there you go. It makes a big difference.
In a deeper way, there's all kinds of stuff that makes you think something's real. For me, I have to spreadsheet it out and see how it's going to end. And then I start down the path of getting to that end, and then it's real.
Do you know what, by the way, next week, before I move on to ask you a question, I will, after my write myself a note, but next week I'll share with you something that I had embroidered.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I should have brought it today, but I didn't. So I will share it next week so you know what I'm talking about. So Jack, how about you? Do you have something informational to share as we wrap up today?
I do. So like everybody, I just sat myself down and said, well, how's your year going to go in 2023? And what do you need to work on? Do you want to make more money? You want to kick more kids out of the house? What do you really want to have happen? And
I like that.
And you know what? I really did kind of a mental inventory on what I think I need to work on in 23, and what kept coming up is not money. For the first time ever, not money. It's not working harder or more or any of that. It's healthcare, personal health and wellness. And so I really I did this in Vail, by the way, started to philosophically think about how we go about buying and selling land and why we're so successful and how we run Land Academy and continue to launch products as our members are requesting them. And I looked at there's a data piece for everything. And I really realized that there's no data piece for health and wellness. Well, there is now. And so I joined a group called Forward. Jill and I both joined together where they take blood as frequently as you want them to, and to look at all the numbers, look at all the data, just like we do in real estate, and decide whether your cholesterol is an acceptable range, and on and on and on, all your vital signs, blood pressure and all of that. And so I backwards deconstructed what I want December of 2023 to look like from a healthcare standpoint. And I started down that path, completely changed my diet, changed exercise routine, meaning I got one. And
thank you for saying it before I was waiting for this. I'm like, let it go, let it go, let it go.
And so I track what I eat,
Awesome.
what I eat, what I drink, how many calories I'm burning, from an exercise standpoint, and it's in a daily tracker, and I'm sitting
That's
there
what works for you.
looking at myself in
That's
the mirror,
the point,
going, why didn't I do this like 10 years
Yeah.
ago? I'm so data driven about everything.
Again, too, because thank you for saying so I didn't have to. Why didn't you do this 10 years ago? Just kidding. That's good.
It takes maybe a half hour a day. I don't think so. Maybe 10 minutes a day
Really? To do all
to
that.
do the whole thing. And I know where I am now, Hey, join us next Wednesday for another interesting episode.
We hope.
You are not alone in your real estate ambition.
That was awesome. So glad you're here. We are Jack and Jill.
Information
And inspiration.
to buy undervalued property.
We hope you found our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.